I trust that you are well. I'm greeting you from a rather wet Cape Town. It is really winter on this side of the mountain, and but we trying to stay warm, and we're hoping that you will have a warm lunch hour session with us. Thank you for taking the time out in your schedules to join us. Just quickly in our introduction and orientation with regard to this particular program. And we want you to know that we appreciate the time that you've invested in getting into the session. My name, as mentioned, is Kevin Henderson, and I am the Proposal and Design Specialist at Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development, and I will be taking us through the session for this afternoon. In the meantime, I would like you to sit back and relax, please. As we go through the session, you are more than welcome to just sort of drop your questions, if you have any, into the chat. Also, at the end of the session, we will have a Q&A session. So if you would rather prefer to raise your question at the end, we will give some time for that to happen as well. Our team in the room from Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development will be responding to some of your questions. So please keep an eye out for that as well. On the slide, as you can see, it's just a little bit of an outline of what we're hoping to discuss with you this afternoon. So we're going to focus a bit on the context of the program, and then I'll give you an overview of the program, and then just some important dates, etc., with regards to our first intake in August, and as well as some in-house solutions that you may have, as we would like to call it, closed cohorts for any organization who would prefer to have that as an option. I think it's important when we talk to our clients about our programs, just to kind of position who we are. I know that our brand as part of Stellenbosch University is quite a recognizable brand, but I think it is also very good for people to understand where do we fit into the ecosystem of the university. So as part of the Economic and Management Sciences faculty, the business school is situated at this point in time in the town or city called Bellville, which is on a little hill not too far from where I live. At the business school, we have two divisions. The one division responsible for postgraduate degree programs and also other postgraduate programs. For example, your postgraduate diplomas in leadership and project management. But in addition to that, PhDs and MBAs and MPhils, etc. The leg or the division who you are talking to this afternoon is us known as Stellenbosch Business School Executive Development. And our role is to develop short courses for leadership and management development for individuals who are working professionals like yourself. So that's just to sort of give you a context of where we sit within the ecosystem of the university. And so therefore, we don't award degrees as such, but we do award certificates of competence in all the programs that we offer as well. When you want to invest in a program like the one that we will discuss this afternoon, it might sometimes be important to try and understand what is the credibility of the organization. So one of the things that we want to share with you is just the understanding that we are quality assured by Stellenbosch Business School and accredited by the Higher Education Quality Council in South Africa. In some of our regions, we offer programs that are accredited by the Botswana Qualifications Authority, as well as the Mauritius Qualifications Authority for some of the programs that we do offer. But something that I think is important to mention that will give you and create a little bit more of confidence into what we're doing is the fact that we are the proud holders of the Triple Crown accreditation, which is a prestigious award held by about only 1% of business schools worldwide. This accreditation is then awarded by the Association of MBAs, or also known as AMBER, the European Foundation for Quality uh, Foundation for Management Development Quality Systems, or EQUIS, and then the American Association to Advanced Collegiate Schools of Business, which is the AACSB. I love to say that that's the evidence that we are not a Palooka institute, but that we're indeed a credible institute in whom you can put your trust for the development that you may be interested in as well. So let's talk about the context of the program. I think when we decided to design this particular program, it started with an understanding of what are the needs of leaders in the world out there. So I love this question or this quote by Warren Bennis that says, a business short on capital can borrow money and one in a poor location can move. But a business short on leadership has little chance of survival. And when Warren Bennis says that, it is the idea that you can have all the capital and you can have the right location, but when things go wrong in those situations, it is leadership that needs to make those kind of decisions as such to help the organization navigate. And we know that those environments and the world out there is what we these days call is like a VUCA world, which is there's a lot of complexity and ambiguity and uncertainty in the world. And so it requires that we as leaders become more agile in dealing with the kind of challenges that we are. So from that perspective, then, I think it's important that you understand that that begins to underpin why we sort of saw a need to focus a program only on leadership development. We are quite aware that the landscape in which leaders must lead is shifting, and it's rapidly shifting as such. I've mentioned earlier on around the VUCA world, that when I was referring to the volatility, the ambiguity. And so managers must now move beyond their operational oversight so that they can be more agile and make those decisions with agility and focus on the future. In addition to that, we know that the workforce of today seeks purpose, trust, and authenticity. And so managers need a lot of emotional intelligence and self-awareness. And the father of emotional intelligence, Daniel Goleman, used to say, it's that self-awareness that helps managers to develop that ability to inspire and empower others to build the resilience that we require within our workforce. And so in a way, it's important to note that leadership is no longer about the control, even though control is part of what leaders do, but it's not only about that, but it's more about, in this world that we're operating in, about how do we connect with the team. And we are aware that that connection needs to happen within a competitive landscape where technical skill is not alone enough, but at organizations that are really thriving in this world, they are usually led by individuals who can align their vision with action, make ethical decisions, and therefore influence across different silos, as well as cultivate a culture of innovation and accountability. And that silo kind of across silos, these days it's more within the remote space, across barriers of culture and things like that, to be effective as the leader. And so when we designed this program, looking in that shifting or at that shifting landscape, we looked at what are we trying to achieve? What would be the purpose of this program as such? And so in the design, we decided to focus on developing future fitness for leaders so that they can be transformed into impactful leaders, and their leadership quality, capabilities and mindsets and approaches be challenged as such. We recognizing that leadership begins actually with self-mastery, and it follows a structured journey from leading self to navigating complex dynamics in a VUCA world, if you may. And so we're hoping that the program will help through the sharing of leadership frameworks, ethical decision-making, emotional intelligence, and strategic thinking. We're hoping that through those frameworks, the leader will be moved beyond just functional and operational management, but to becoming more inspirational and influencing as they continue to influence, or influential as they continue to influence their teams as such. So if with that purpose in mind, we decided that we need to structure the program in such a way, because we're also mindful around the amount of time that leaders need to invest into developing themselves, whilst at the same time being able to continue their daily graph of the roles that they are fulfilling in their organizations. So we then decided to structure the program and design it over a 5-day period. So we registered the program for 3 months. And what that simply means is within the 3 months, all the assessments as well as the class start attendance must be completed for participants to be successful. We then decided to sort of align this program with the NQF level 6 in terms of what SAQA requires. And so the program is then over one study block of 5 days, and the mode of delivery will then be over the remote platform, which is the Zoom platform that we are using, similar to what we are using today. So there will be 5 modules. And I've mentioned earlier on that all our programs, we want participants to have a certificate of competence. And to help us in achieving that, we have 2 types of assessments to sort of certify our participants as competent. So the first assessment that will be a summative assessment, which will be an individually developed leadership development plan, which will be developed by each participant, which they will submit as their final assignment. And then during the program, we have 3 formative assessments, which will just be in-class quizzes, just to sort of test the knowledge around what we have. We know that knowledge in itself doesn't lead to any change unless we actually learn to apply that. And that is what becomes the change in our behavior. So what we have done with the assessments is to help to see that people have the proper knowledge through looking at the individual class quizzes. And once they have that correct knowledge or the proper knowledge around their own leadership development, they can then go and develop a plan which they will then implement in their personal leadership journey as such. So the program then is suited to middle and senior managers. And so when we looked at why this program, because we have a whole suite of other comprehensive programs. We often are challenged with the idea that people who are chartered accountants already do not necessarily want to come and listen again about finance. And people who are marketing experts do not want to come and learn about marketing anymore. But what we have found that many of our middle and senior managers who are very technically proficient, they do require stronger leadership skills to enhance their competency and effectiveness to be impactful in their roles as managers and leaders. And so from that point of view, the program is aimed at managers who are very technically proficient, but feel that they need to develop the leadership component even more. The admission requirements, we look at any NQF level 5 qualification or equivalent of that. There's no leadership or management experience required. Even though we indicated earlier on, we often find that those managers are people who are in the management because of the situation in the organization, but they have never received any formal leadership development. And so therefore we say there's no leadership or management experience required, because what we're hoping to achieve is to enhance the natural leadership ability that sit with our participants at such a time like this. And then lastly, due to the pace of the delivery in the classroom situation, we do recommend that you have at least English competency at NQF level 4 or an equivalent of that. And that's just simply to help navigate the pace in the classroom rather than it being a requirement to be successful in the classroom. Right, so when we designed the program, we looked at, okay, so what are we hoping to achieve? And we looked at these outcomes for the entire program, which is to use emotional intelligence principles to build and manage high-performing teams, to demonstrate comprehensive understanding of leadership theories, models, and frameworks, but more importantly, so that they can be applied in diverse organizational contexts. And then we want to explain the role of ethical decision-making in effective leadership and organizational governance. I often used to think of ethics in the manner that people don't want to make the ethical decisions, but they want to make decisions ethically. All of us want to make decisions so that we can be effective. But how do you make those effective decisions in an ethical manner as such? And so that's one of the things that we thought is quite critical, especially in a country like ours, to help leaders with as well. And then the other outcome is around a critical analysis of leadership case studies, so that they can identify challenges and opportunities and potential strategies for improvement. And then lastly, to develop a personal leadership development plan, integrating feedback, self-assessment, and organizational needs as well. And we decided that one way of getting to these outcomes, we have included 5 modules over 5 days. Kicking us off with the modules will be a module on self-leadership, focusing a lot on evaluating your personal strengths, your values and beliefs, how to apply the technique of self-reflection so that you can enhance your self-awareness, helping participants to develop resilience and adaptability as situations will become more and more challenging, and then obviously apply emotional intelligence principles in personal and professional context. So once you've done that module, they will focus on the second day, which will focus on leadership within a global context. So explaining what the key leadership theories are and their relevance in the global context, demonstrate an understanding of the impact of globalization on leadership and business operations, and then obviously evaluating your own or different leadership styles and their effectiveness, especially in various cultural and organizational contexts. And lastly, to develop strategies for leading virtually and develop strategies for leading multicultural teams as well. And then on the third day, they will look at ethical leadership, where they will define what ethical leadership is and its importance in organizations. They will look at different ethical theories and the application for leadership, then apply ethical reasoning models to real-world leadership dilemmas, and then also to demonstrate self-awareness in ethical leadership practices as well. And on our fourth day, the module that we will be looking at is how do you now as a leader manage stakeholder communication? How do you do that effectively? So how to deliver confident and persuasive presentations, engage in effective business negotiations and stakeholder meetings, monitor and evaluate stakeholder engagement, and then navigate cross-cultural communication challenges in global and business environments. And then the program completes on the fifth day with a module so now you've worked on all the issues around yourself as a leader, but your leadership is only effective when you are busy leading another team. In other words, tongue-in-cheek to mention that leadership, a leader who's not having any followers are basically just out for a walk. So when we talk about your leadership here, we're talking from the perspective that you are actively leading other people. And it might not be a team at work, but it might be a team at one of your organizations in society, or it might even just be your own family that you are leading. Now, thinking of that, how do we take this past 4 days and bring that into leading a high-performing team? So what this module will then focus on is to use motivational techniques to improve performance, explain team roles, responsibilities, using models like, and that's not exclusive to that, but Dalban and Tuckman stages of group development to facilitate team cohesion. How do you go about as a leader building trust and building a culture of collaboration, even in spaces that are remote and virtual? And then how, as a leader, can you provide constructive feedback and performance coaching as part of your leadership as well? So you can see that the program is then starting out with who you are as an individual, focusing on increasing the self-awareness, and then showing you up in terms of you as the individual within the global context, but then also not neglecting the issues of ethics and the importance of the other stakeholders, because as a leader, the other stakeholders, you're not operating in a vacuum, you're not operating in a whole, but you actually are dependent on people around you and other stakeholders as well. And then closing it out with looking at how to develop your own team and create greater effectiveness in your team as well. So what would be the benefit of doing this particular program? First of all, we believe that doing this program will strengthen the leadership capabilities and mindsets and approaches within an organization. We also feel that highly personalized leadership development plan that you will be coming up with will be a great benefit for anyone to attend this program. But more importantly, also through this program, you'll be able to gain access to and support from what we call our learning process facilitator. So those 5 days that we have referred to as the different modules, we will have 5 different faculty members presenting them, being an expert in their own area as indicated on that program. But throughout the program, we will have a learning process facilitator who is an executive coach who will then support you and help you with coaching around developing your personal leadership development plan as well. And then lastly, the other benefit will be that it will be delivered by world-class faculty and, like I've just mentioned, subject matter experts as well. So when do we start? When are we kicking off? We are planning to have our first intake happening on the week of 25 to 29 August 2025. This program will then end on the 28th of November 2025. And we start actually the intake on the 20th of August with an orientation so that we can orientate the participants in terms of their requirements to meet your LPF, navigate the Zoom platform so that you understand exactly how the time will run, understanding around where you will find your material. All of that will happen on the 20th, where we will have a 2-hour orientation session. The actual block, like I said, will start on the 25th to the 29th of August. And then during that week, there will be 3 quizzes that you will complete in class as just part of testing the knowledge around that. And then you will be able, at the end of the program, to submit an assignment, a summative assignment, which will be your leadership development plan. In terms of ensuring that you get a space on this program, the closing date for this program will be the 13th of August. So it seems like there is still enough time for you to apply, but we would like to urge you to get those applications in as soon as possible. And one of the people in our room, Amira, and the rest of the team will be able to respond to you in ensuring that you have all the necessary documentation, information to make you a part of this program. Having said that, then, sometimes this program that I'm referring to is for the open market, but we are right now in the process of delivering this program for what we call a specific organization. So just let me talk about what we call solutions for organizations, which is what we refer to generally as our in-house solutions, where we can actually take this particular program and incorporate that with whatever you as an organization is running in-house in your organization. So what we're looking at is to see how we can support already delivering. To do that, we can provide you with a ready-made intervention, run it in-house, and it's then exclusively to your employees. The advantage of doing that would be to deep dive into the unique opportunities and the challenges facing your organization within your industry context. We personalize the program by then adding additional coaching sessions so that we can reinforce the learning and enhance the experience. And then we therefore, if it's only for your organization, we can be quite flexible in how we would deliver this particular program. So we would then be able to either do it in person, or we would be able to do it in a blended delivery mode, or we can continue to offer it as a remote opportunity as well. Should you be interested to have an in-house opportunity, they are still available for 2025. But admittedly, you can imagine 2025 is running out quite quickly. But if you are interested in that, you can please contact our colleague, our channel director, Claire Kelly, clairesissing@sbsed.com for further information as well. Please do not forget, I can see that there is some chat happening in the chat box, but at the same time, we will put at the end of today's presentation, we will receive an end of sort of session email with some information that you may find useful, email addresses, linkages to websites, etc. You will find there as well. As an L&D person, the question usually is, what is the return on investment? So for those of us who are L&D people in the room, I think the one advantage is that you will strengthen your leadership thinking and decision-making within your pipeline. You will strengthen your leadership pipeline and enhance the agility in your organization. And then you will also have the return on investment, which is the improved effectiveness of your leaders across your organization as well. So the journey is designed over 3 months to help technically strong managers to step into purposeful, authentic leadership. And what we're hoping to do that and how we're hoping to do that is for them to uncover the leader within themselves through self-mastery and reflection, to harness the already existing EQ competencies so that they can lead with greater empathy and courage, as well as resilience in those critical moments that matter, but also to transform the way they connect with others, the way they build trust, loyalty, and the way they can have high-performing teams be grounded in a sense of purpose. And in addition to that, stepping into the bigger picture with the strategic thinking and ethical clarity needed to influence change. And lastly, to redefine their own leadership legacy, not just through the results, but by the lives and the careers of the people they help to shape as a leader. And so I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope that this is helping you to make an informed decision for your organization, and if you're an individual, for you as well. In 2 weeks' time, we will do another information session where we will sort of showcase some of our other comprehensive programs. For today, we've only focused on the leadership development program, but in 2 weeks' time, we will focus on all our comprehensive programs, and we'll do another information session for that as well. Please, in the chat, if you'd like to learn more of what we have to offer, there's a link there for you that you can click to register for the session. So you are formally invited to come and attend with us. I think it's on the 30th of July that we will have that session as well. Hope to see you there, because it will not only be focusing on the leadership development program, but also on our other comprehensive programs, from women in leadership to new managers to executive development program, that we as including our project management program that we will focus on the 30th of July. On that note, I want to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for attending, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday afternoon. Thanks so much.